really speaks to us, doesn't it? And energetically, what we know is that it is our Easter, that we are the resurrection and the life, that as our humanness gives way to the divine, the Christ consciousness arises triumphant and victorious. And in our way of life, it's really interesting. Someone on Facebook, actually on our interfaith page, said, this isn't spirituality, this is religion. You mentioned Jesus. Well, Jesus is one of the greatest prophets energetically ever to walk the earth mother to the planet. Lord Buddha was 500 years before him. He gave us the heart of compassion. We go and look at all of our great prophets, our seers, all those that prepared the way for us to enter in. Jesus was the one that allowed himself to be sacrificed. And we know that sacrifice means, in the ancient way, it's about selfless giving. And that he was willing to take it on. And when he said, let this cup pass from me, that human part of us, that when we go through our own challenges, our own initiations, the stuff that comes up, we say many times, how could this have happened? Let this cup pass from me, in other words. And then to come to the realization, not my will, but thine be done. Not my little human ego self, because that ego, it's really fascinating how that works. It's always about the outer, always, right? But as we surrender, as we let go and let God do what God does best by means of us, to recognize that there's a higher way, and that we have to let go of what we're holding on to. I had a friend in ministerial school, Nan Shelley, and she said, everything I ever let go of, I left claw marks. I mean, sometimes it's so very hard to let go, right? And finally we let go and we let a higher power come in. So when Jesus walked the earth mother, and that he never saw anyone in dis-ease. Pick up your bed and walk. He spoke what? To their wholeness, to their perfection. Hands on the eyes. Blessed are they who have eyes that see. So that week of miracles where he was so attuned energetically with his Father, Mother, God. He said, I and my Father are one. He absolutely knew that. So that amazing transmutation of energy, that transmission that he could impart to everyone and anyone who came within his energy field that had any kind of dis-ease. And I declare every morning that wherever pain seems to be operating anywhere on the planet, the presence of God is. Wherever upset seems to be operating anywhere on the planet, the presence of God is. Wherever dis-ease seems to be operating anywhere on the planet, the presence of God is. And that as we send out this energy, as we allow this higher vibratory frequency, and remember, if you want to know the secrets of life, you think in what terms? Energy, frequency, and vibration. That takes it out of the realm of personality. We're not all going to vibrate at the same frequency. It just, it doesn't work that way. But to recognize that there's a power and a presence within each of us. I love the beautiful little story about a little boy, and he was 12, but he was in a second grade class because he was born with infirmities and he was mentally slow. And his teacher, Mrs. Miller, Doris Miller, she brought the parents in one day, and she goes, he comes in and he drools and he kind of drags his feet and he disrupts the class. And I think you should put him in a private institution. And the mother sat there and she wept. And she said, he needs to be with other children. Please don't let us do this. Please keep him in your class. He's getting value from it. He comes and he shares the value that he receives from his classmates, even though his classmates, when he would come in and he would snicker and snort and do all the things and they would laugh behind his back, he was receiving value. And so there was a special project in the class, and the teacher passed out plastic eggs to every single student. And she said, I want you to bring something that represents new life tomorrow. It's springtime. It's almost Easter vacation. Bring something that represents new life. And so she passed out the eggs and she got home and she thought, I got to call Jeremy's parents because obviously he won't understand a thing that I've said and he'll do it incorrectly. However, she had plumbing problems. She had to call in the plumber and she totally had skipped her mind. But in the morning, she had a big basket and all the students put their plastic eggs in the basket and she opened the first egg. Oh, it was a flower. She said, oh, this flower represents new life. Isn't it beautiful? And the little girl in the back said, that's mine, teacher, that's mine. And she opened up the next one and it was some moss with some wonderful soil in it with a couple of acorns. He said, oh, this too represents new life. Oh, isn't this wonderful? And Tommy over on the side said, that's mine, teacher. My dad, help me. And then she opened up the next one and it was something wonderful. It was like leaves and she did recognize that this too represents new life. And when she opened up the next one, the fourth one, it was empty. And she thought, oh dear, I should have called Jeremy's parents. And so she didn't want to make a scene, so she quietly closed it and she put it off to one side so she wouldn't embarrass him. And as she did that, Jeremy waved his hand and said, teacher, teacher, what about mine? And she said, well, yours was empty. And the assignment was to bring something that represented new life. And he said, well, teacher, wasn't Jesus' tomb empty? She said, yes, it was. And do you know why it was empty? He said, because the angel of the Lord moved the stone and they killed and crucified him, but Jesus rose up when the angel moved the stone. At that moment, Mrs. Miller, she just absolutely went into this state of remorse. All her judgments about this little boy with infirmities and mental challenges. And her heart melted. The recess bell rang. She sat at her desk and she wept. She wept for her judgments. She wept for looking at this little being of light that was so much physical infirmity, yet the soul of the Christ. The angel rolled aside the stone, right? And the tomb was empty. I have risen as I said I would. Destroy this house, and in 3 days, I will build it up again. 3 months later, little Jeremy passed away in his sleep. And they had a memorial. And on the casket were 19 empty eggs from each of his classmates, second grade classmates, that he had made such an amazing impact in his simplicity, in his infirmity that rose through what the experience was. And in the human condition, we do judge outside of ourselves. And when I catch myself doing that, it's an opportunity to go within and say, there, but for the grace of God, go I. That we are united in our humanity. I love when I met with the president of the United Nations in the European sector. We sat down in Geneva, Switzerland, at the United Nations, and then we went out for tea. And Madam President of the United Nations of the European sector, Carol Hanshin, we bonded immediately. I'd met her in New York when I presented at the United Nations in New York. So when I was on part of the Nobel Peace Prize Commission, a meeting with her to endorse my candidate, the Reverend Father Emmanuel Ida from Africa that founded Madonna University, founded 3 other universities. He had on his amazing Madonna University courtyard, he had places of reconciliation and peace. He had places for people to eat and to be nurtured. He had a hospital on site. I mean, this man from Alili, Nigeria, that created this amazing, amazing energy field. I nominated him. And so as I met with Carolyn Hanshin, she said, well, I believe that we have had patriarchy, we have had matriarchy, let's have familyarchy, where we are one family of humanity, regardless of color, race, creed, sexual orientation, and political affiliation. Familyarchy, we are related, we are part of the human family. And that as we transcend our circumstances, the angel of light reveals to us what she is, and today we are that. The angel rolled away the stone, and the tomb was empty, wasn't it? I have risen as I said I would. That we rise above circumstances, we rise above what shows up, that we oftentimes give our power away through fear-based thinking. There is a power and a presence within us that moves through all appearances, all conditions, and all effects that show up in our lives. And it's up to us to recognize that and to embrace the truth of our being and let go of what no longer serves us, all the petty little stuff we give our power away to. And it seems like overwhelming at the time. But the truth is that there is a peace that passes all understanding within us, this peace within our heart center. Today, we make the longest journey on the planet, the 18-inch journey from the head to the heart being the doorway to the soul. Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. And that when we recognize that that angel of light is removing all stones and all things that are in our path, that so that we can come forth saying, I am the resurrection and the life. And I'm going to leave you with my favorite Easter story. It's about 3 trees. And they were gathered together in the forest. And the first tree said, oh, I want to be, when I come to maturity and I am cut down, I want to be carved into a beautiful treasure chest. I want to hold the jewels of kings and queens in my beautiful treasure chest. I want to be admired by all. And the second tree said, oh, I want to be a great ship. So when it's my turn to be cut down, I want to be carved onto this amazing hull, and I want to absolutely sail the seas carrying all the nobility, yes, the kings and queens that I will carry in my beautiful, beautiful ship. The third tree said, I want to grow to be the tallest tree in the forest. I want to look out over everything. I want to feel God's presence as I lift up my branches to the heavens, and I feel God smile upon me. Time went by. Some wood carvers came. They cut down the first tree, and she thought, oh, wonderful. I'm going to be carved into a beautiful treasure chest. I am just so grateful. I will carry the jewels of all nobility, kings and queens. But alas, the tree was made into a feed trough, and they put hay in it. And some years passed, and the tree forgot about her dreams. The second tree was cut down. He thought, oh, wonderful, I will be a great ship, and I will sail the 7 seas. And I will carry kings and queens and all nobility. But alas, the tree was hewn and carved into a little fishing boat. And some years went by, and the tree forgot about his dreams. The third tree quivered and shook to its roots. And the woodsman said, ah, this is a great tree. I'm just going to cut it down, and it'll come to me for what it could be used for. And cut the tree down. And years passed, and the tree forgot about his dreams. And then one day, in the stable, A couple came. She was with child. There was no room in the inn. They were sent to the stable. She had the child and laid him in the manger. And the tree said, surely I am holding the King of Kings in my manger. Years passed. Some men got on a little fishing boat. One was sleepy and fell asleep. And suddenly the wind shifted, and there seemed to be great waves. And the men were frightened, and they said, let's wake our master. And they woke him up. And he put out his hand and he said, peace, be still. And then turned to the men and said, O ye of little faith, you have the power, O ye of little faith. A few years passed, 3 years, and the tree found himself moving on the back of a man through the streets. He was being jeered. He's being made fun of. They were shaking their fists. And they made it up to the hill, to Golgotha. The man was nailed to the tree. And as he said, into thy hands I commend my spirit, the tree thought, surely I am holding the King of Kings, that my mission was to support this beautiful man. My mission is complete. And of course, the man was taken to a tomb, Joseph Arimathea, placed in the tomb for 3 days. And when the angel of light came and rolled away the stone, this is where we talk about the humanness giving way to the divine, where matter becomes spirit, and that he could appear to his loved ones and say, I have risen as I said I would, as I said I would. And the moral of this story is that we have great plans for ourselves and goals. We want to do many, many things, but sometimes we are used for a higher purpose. And as the Talmud says, man plans, right, and God laughs. Because many times things do not go according to our plans. But they, what? They reach a higher level. Just as when I was holding on so tightly to my home of 18 years that I had to do a short sale because of mortgaging out to really keep the doors of the ministry open. And I'd mortgaged it out so many times there was no equity. And realizing that I would have to move was quite devastating. But what I know is, and I coined this, whenever I have received the divine boot, I have always landed on higher ground. And that we're here in my energy field in the Rose of Sharron Sanctuary, overlooking the plains, the mountains I affectionately refer to as my Himalayas, and access to the mineral hot springs every single day. 12 weeks before I moved, I had major back surgery. And coming into these minerals, these healing minerals, when I went to see the doctor for, post-op, they were just amazed at how I was doing, just absolutely amazed. So when we look at how we plan certain things out and the unexpected happens, and we don't like it when the unexpected happens because we haven't planned out. And I want to be this great treasure chest. I want to be this amazing ship sailing the seven seas. I want to be the highest tree in the forest, touching the wings of angels. and of God's. And then, guess what? Another reality sets in, and we are used for an even mightier purpose. Mightier purpose. So on this day, where we recognize those 19 empty eggs on a casket, because I am not here, I have risen as I said I would. And each and every one of us is going somewhere. And where is it? Higher yet. Where is it? Higher yet. Where is it? Higher yet. Because we are in a high place and we will not come down. None of these outer things move us. We are in a high place and we will not come down. Going higher yet, rising higher, and acknowledging that we have a divine destiny to fulfill, and we are fulfilling that destiny, and it matters not. There is no large or small, and the one mind that knows all. We are fulfilling that destiny, and that makes all the difference. So I say to you, namaste. The God in me salutes the God in you, and the God in you salutes the God in me. And if I am in that place in me, and you are in that place in you, there is only one of us. Namaste. I say shalom, the peace that passes all understanding, the peace of God. And of course, God bless us, every single one. Thank you. I love you. This is a joyous Easter, and I'm just so grateful that you're here with me. Thank you. And now our wonderful Reverend, the Reverend Prince Fleet Easton, has something so magnificent planned for us, and I'm just taking it all in. It's so beautiful.